Tonight's bold question: will the jury's race determine the verdict in the George Zimmerman murder trial? Day 4 of jury selection, some jurors being dismissed, others surviving to the next round of questioning. But everyone's wondering, what will the jury look like? And will the race of the 6 jurors be the determining factor in what happens to Zimmerman? Ryan Smith is standing by with our own in-studio pool of potential jurors. Which 6 will make it onto our jury tonight, and which 6 will be X'd? And will any of our jurors be excluded based on race? HLN legal correspondent Gene Casares is in Sanford, Florida, where the actual jury selection is taking place. Joining us from New York, Double J, Mr. Joey Jackson. In Florida tonight, prosecutor Stacey Honowitz and criminal defense attorney Philip Snyder. Our in-studio experts tonight: defense attorney Carrie Hackett, attorney John Phillips, and attorney and radio host Mo Ivory. We begin tonight with jury selection in the nation's next big trial. Who will make it onto the panel? Who will sit in judgment of George Zimmerman? Who will become the seminal 6?
As far as the facts, I don't know if there's really any out there other than, unfortunately, Trayvon lost his life.
I think he was just defending himself.
I still don't know how the scuffle started or anything like that.
Normally the discussion would come up in school and teachers would immediately shut that down.
George Zimmerman should go home.
In other words, do you believe he's innocent?
I do.
Mr. Zimmerman has certainly confessed to shooting Trayvon. It's more of really weeding out the facts now.
You have formed an opinion. What was it?
Guilty.
And he's what?
Guilty.
Well, I'm aware of the fact that Trayvon had been smoking marijuana.
And how did you learn that?
From TV.
I usually watch only sports or movies on TV. I don't
ESPN.
I don't watch too much of that. No, I don't even use. I'm not even on Facebook.
How would you deal with the fact that you're now sitting on the jury for maybe 4 to 6 weeks?
You mess up my golf game, I'll tell you that.
All right. We've learned a lot from these potential jurors. Our in-studio jury here today to weigh in. And you know, today's bold question: will the jury's race determine the verdict? I want to see what you think. Yes or no? Will the jury's race determine the verdict? A lot of no's, a couple yeses. It's a little bit mixed here. All right, let's start with Denise. Why do you say yes?
I think, unfortunately, this trial has become one that's, focused on race. Mm-hmm. So I think if you have a larger majority of one race over another, it will end up making a difference in the outcome.
Okay, but one of our new jurors, Leon here, you say no.
No, the facts are pretty clear. I don't think the jury's race has anything to do with it.
Okay. Angela, I'm coming down to you. You're saying yes. Well, I know you feel strongly about this case.
No, actually, I don't know anything yet about it, but
okay.
You'll see. No. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it should. Like me personally, I would want to know the facts, and that's how I would want to decide it, instead of it being, on any other issues.
Okay, so a lot of our jurors saying the right things. They want to know the facts first, Vinny, before they decide the issues. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Have an open mind going in, but race always plays a role. And in a case like this, my goodness, of course it's going to. But the attorneys aren't going to use that as a reason to exclude any jurors. They would never do that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go down to Sanford, Florida. Gene Casares. Gene, great to have you aboard. A lot of headlines today, but let's just start with what we're talking about right here. We have, I believe, 25 jurors who have moved on to the next phase of questioning, who are eligible for the next phase. Do we have any sort of demographical breakdown of who these jurors are?
We actually do. We tallied that as far as minorities, 5 African Americans have been questioned altogether. There have been 4 Latinos that have been questioned, and there's been 1 of Indian descent that's been questioned. And Vinny, I want to focus real fast on the 4 Latinos because they were all today, seemingly one after the other. 3 of them said that the commandments of the Bible are what they follow: thou shalt not kill. And that means God's law and man's law, and there is no room for self-defense. 3 of them said that. Another one put in that she could not judge, only God could judge. But the 4th Latino is a man from Mexico, recently became a citizen in Chicago, and he said, I want to be on this jury so bad because I want to give back what this country has given to me, which is citizenship. was really something.
That is something, and it's, you know, this is one of your civic duties, ladies and gentlemen, is when you get that notice, you're not supposed to try to get out of jury duty. You're supposed to serve if you can, be fair and impartial. All right, Gene, give us the other headlines from today, and big ones, right, involving sequestration?
Big ones. When juror after juror said they were concerned of sequestration, they weren't sure. The defense asked for a sidebar, and then the announcement was made, this jury will be sequestered, but the trial length at this point is 2 weeks to 4 weeks. That's not including jury selection. That is for sequestration only, 2 weeks to 4 weeks.
You mean it's not going to take 5 months? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, all right. All right, well, that's good news. This jury's going to work hard. Everyone's going to work hard. Sequestered jury, locked away from the public, locked away from our show, locked away from social media and everything else. So this is what I want from my experts. One word to describe a sequestered juror. One word. Carrie Hackett.
Uncontaminated.
John Phillips.
Big letters, sacrifice.
Mo Ivory.
Confined.
Gene Casares, one word.
Insulated.
Stacey Honowitz.
Lonely.
Lonely, I'm so lonely. Philip Snyder, one word to describe a sequestered juror.
Camaraderie.
Joey Jackson.
Patriotic.
Indeed, indeed. Wow. All right, big news today. We've got our own jury. We've got to only take 6 of 12. So who is going to make the cut? You'll find out on HLN After Dark. Our poll on our bold question tonight, will the jury's race in the George Zimmerman case impact the verdict? 67% of you are saying yes. Only 33% of you are saying no. Race, obviously a huge issue here. I'm with John Phelps, great attorney from Florida, and we're going to talk about race and juries and how it impacts verdicts. So what I want to do is go back, way back to this trial. Remember this moment?
Owen found James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony upon Nicole Brown Simpson, a human being, as charged in count 1 of the information.
All right, a lot of people saw that as a racially charged case. Let's take a look at the breakdown of that not guilty jury. How many O.J. Simpson jurors were Asian? 0. How many were Hispanic? 1. How many were white? 2. How many were black? 9. John, do you think race had anything to do with O.J. Simpson being found not guilty?
If the statistics fit, you must acquit. I mean, that was Johnny Cochran's jury. That was his trial. And clearly race had something to do with it.
So you believe that? Okay, fantastic. Well, let's take a look at another case that was very racially charged. It was the beating of Rodney King. You remember this videotape? I think we all remember this videotape. Well, the police officers were initially tried, and after the verdict, despite the videotape, they were found not guilty. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a look at the makeup of the jury from the Rodney King beating case? Okay? How many of those jurors were Asian? 1. How many were Hispanic? 1. How many were white? 10. How many were black? 0. The officers were found not guilty. Do you think race had anything to do with that verdict?
Again, you had the statistics that justified, you know, the Caucasian sided with the Caucasian. Now, it's not a perfect science. I've had a
pretty.
No, this is statistics. I mean, you can't deny this. But you know, we're 2 for 2.
Yep. All right. So let's do this. Why don't we take a look at the population of Seminole County, where this case is being tried? You've got in Seminole County about how many people? About 422,000. Okay, that's a good number. But what does that mean in terms of who actually lives there? Let's take a look at the demographic breakdown of Seminole County, where these jurors are coming from. What percent are Asian? About 3%. What percent are Hispanic? 17%. What percent are white? About 78%. What percent are black? About 11%. Now, this isn't exact. It's the Census Bureau, so it doesn't add up to 100%. Don't blame me. But how does this play in this jury selection for this case?
You know, again, you can see it already in jury selection where the state is trying to curry some favor and lean towards some African Americans. And you've even had an African American who watches, conservative channels, and the defense didn't know what to do with him. But you hope to see 1 to 2 to have a jury truly of Trayvon Martin and his family's peers that would.
But when there's only 6, you never know what's going to happen.
You never know. I've tried a case with 5 African American church ladies where my client was African American. Guess what? They hammered me.
Guilty.
It can happen.
So, yeah, sometimes people are open-minded and listen. So the question is, in this case, will race be the determining factor? Let's take it over to Ryan Smith, who's with our jury tonight.
Our potential jury, because, as we talk about all the time, Vinny, cases are won and lost in jury selection. So we've got our potential jurors today. I say potential because before the end of the show, 6 of them are going to be rejected. 6 of them will be on the jury. Now, each one of our potential jurors filled out a jury questionnaire. You can do it yourself as well on HLNTV.com. Our prosecutor and our defense attorney are going to question them, and they will strike jurors, and they'll tell us why. So, for the prosecution, Mo Ivory. Now, Mo, tell us what you saw on one of the questionnaires that leads you to strike one of our jurors.
Sure. I've been reading over the questionnaires, and it was a lot of very interesting stuff, and I learned a lot about the jurors. But I was particularly concerned and nervous about one juror's comment when asked the question, what do you feel about racial profiling? And the answer was no comment. That would make me nervous to choose that juror because I need to know what that juror feels about racial profiling. No comment makes me nervous.
And that juror is?
For that reason, I'm striking juror number 4.
Juror number 4, who is really surprised, by the way. She can't believe it. She just put no comment. What do you say to that?
Well, I guess I should have been probably clear about it. I guess what I really should have said was that although I don't feel like I racially profile, I know that does exist in the world, unfortunately.
Okay.
So maybe you should have given me a chance. You never know.
We'll find out a little bit later. Take the red X. I'm so sorry. It was kind of like the reverse Price is Right effect.
Sure, absolutely.
Carrie Hackett's up for the defense. Okay, Carrie, what did you see in one of the questionnaires that led you to strike?
Well, Ryan, I was very concerned because one of the potential jurors here said that fundraising for the defense was sickening. And I quote, that Zimmerman went after Trayvon Martin with a vengeance in heart and a thirst for blood. Now, Ryan, I believe that this juror has already formed a very definite opinion about the guilt or innocence of my client.
A couple of them are smiling. I wonder which one this is. The juror that you are going to strike is?
Ryan, it's juror number 11.
Juror number 11. I couldn't read your face. She was like, I hope they don't pick me.
What?
What's your thought?
I mean,
you're owning it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I believe. I mean, I think that he went after the problem. I'm not saying that there was or was not a problem, but whatever it was, he went after it. And the second that he decided to go after it was the second he needs to take whatever comes to him as a consequence.
All right, take the red X. You're going to wear it proudly.
And you know what, Ryan, as a defense attorney, that's exactly what we're seeking when we ask these questions. We want to know what these people's prejudices are so that we can get to the bottom of it before we pick our jury.
All right, folks, 2 down, 4 to go. Before the night is through, we will be down to 6 jurors. Who will be next? More After Dark coming up.
Tonight, we address ourselves to the critical issue of race. Is it an influential factor in this case? Absolutely. Will it be a determining factor? Absolutely not. We're better than that as a society. White, black, brown, no matter what you are, we know right, we know wrong, we know crime, and we know a lack of crime. This jury, at the end of the day, will evaluate the evidence and render a fair, just, and appropriate decision.
When it comes to carrying a weapon legally, yeah, my mind is made up with that.
And as a result, your mind is made up in this case.
Well, he was carrying his weapon legally.
So your mind is made up that he's innocent.
I don't know everything. If you can prove to me differently, then do it.
Wow. You never know what you can get from your potential jurors. That's why we gave you all questionnaires.
You know it.
That's
That
right.
is.
Okay.
That is.
Hey, some of our potentials have attitude. Some weren't very happy about being excluded, so we've still got 2 more exits to give out. And let's start with the prosecution. Mo Ivory,
Okay,
what did you
so-
learn on one of the questionnaires that led you to strike?
Yeah, I had a lot of compassion for this jury. I found out a lot of things about people on this jury, and there's one juror in particular that his father is a retired police officer. She's also been a victim of assault. She is a gun owner from a very early age, and she has very strong views on racial profiling. And for those reasons, I just absolutely cannot have her on my jury.
Okay, and that juror is?
Number 9.
Number 9. Oh, she admits it. She admits. So how do you feel about being struck?
Well, I don't know. I sort of expected it. I think where the rubber hits the road is going to be at where the confrontation took place. Because I think he went, depending on how he got jumped, once you're on the bottom, and then if he did really go for the gun, I think it was, if he gets this gun before I do, it's me or him.
So did you think you could have been fair and impartial?
Yeah, I really want to see all the evidence.
Very
'cause
interesting.
I'm a flip-flopper.
Very interesting that you were struck. Okay, let's go to the defense. Carrie Hackett, what did you see that led you to strike one of our jurors?
Well, one of these potential jurors was the victim in an assault that was very similar to this assault. And he said that he sympathized with the victim in this case, and that had the assault that he had been involved with involved a gun, he might have met the same fate as Trayvon Martin. I think that that sympathy and the prejudice against a gun-carrying individual is just too great to be able to be unbiased.
And who was that juror?
That was juror number 5.
Juror number 5 is looking the other way. He's like, me? Whoa, wait. Hey, I got to give you this. I'm sorry. In the beginning of the show, when we talked about strikes, you kind of looked at me like, I'm not going to be somebody who's getting struck.
Oh, no.
But they struck you.
First of all, I think this is completely outrageous. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like I said, I was in a similar type scuffle or whatnot, and luckily, you know, I can hold my own, so I took the big guy down. But what happened to when neighborhood watch was neighborhood watch? You watch out the window and then you call the police, not neighborhood kill. You go after the guy with a vengeance. So, I mean, I think that he's guilty as well, but, you know, it is what it is, and I'm ex, so...
All right.
I'll take that.
You're wearing it proudly, okay.
Objection.
Objection?
Yes, because it seems as if we're excluding based on race here, and I just want to know a little bit more about the race-neutral reason why she's excluding an African-American male.
Ooh, that's a challenge. Let's talk to our judge. Vinny, you're the judge tonight. What do you say?
I'm listening to the reasoning from the questionnaire, but I do see a little bit of a pattern here. I mean, 2 for 2. 2 for 2.
Well, Vinny, all I can do is work with the material that I've been given and the answers, the true answers that these people have written in this questionnaire. I have looked at these answers, and actually I had made my opinions about who I was seeking to strike before these jurors entered the courtroom today.
Aha. Interesting. I'd have to believe you on that. I am going to allow this strike, but it has been duly noted that it's 2 for 2.
Interesting.
After Dark continues. Coming up, we're going to go back into the evidence room and deal with our next bold question. Did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman?
All the potential jurors live right here in Seminole County, and one after the other have said that when this all happened and when people from the outside came in and started protesting, they believe that that turned this into a case about race, and they were offended by that here in Seminole County. Juror after juror has stated that. There also have been jurors, quite a few, that have said George Zimmerman should have been charged long before he actually was.
HLNTV.com/AfterDark. Everything you need to know about the George Zimmerman trial.
I really don't want to be separated from my husband.
Sure.
I really want to be in my own home. I'm worried about my privacy after the trial.
You are going to at least have to help out with caregiving for your grandson?
Which I do already.
Okay.
But because of the early hours, I'll have to, bathe him, get him up in the morning, feed him, take him to school, and then pick him up at 3:30.
Are they still going to pay you?
I don't necessarily know that. I just know that he told me I could be taken off the schedule as long as I need.
Not everybody wants to be on a jury, I tell you. A lot of people have a lot of different reasons, but there are a lot of people that do want to be on the jury, including a lot of our potential jurors. 4 down, 2 to go. It's kind of like our own version of Jury Survivor. Who stays, who gets voted off the island? Prosecutor, Mo Ivory.
Yes, so...
You read the questionnaires. What did you see on those questionnaires that led you to your next choice?
Yeah, so we definitely don't want to have people who have opinions already, and or even that are murky, that they think about their opinion. So one of our jurors answered the questionnaire by saying that have you formed an opinion? And her answer was, somewhat. But I'm open to hearing more stuff, but somewhat I've already formed an opinion. And for that reason, I'm going to have to let her go. And
Who is this juror?
Juror number 7.
Juror number 7? Carly, you just said somewhat. I mean, how bad is that? What do you think?
Well, I think, as human, as we're all human, it's kind of impossible to not have some sort of opinion. But, I'm young. I'm open to hearing all of the facts, and I would base my final opinion on the facts of the case.
So you could have been fair and impartial.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So you're surprised?
I am, but I was ready for it.
Okay, all right. She's going to accept it.
Ryan, I would have to object on that one because I think she could be rehabilitated. After that answer, I think that she hasn't formed an ultimate opinion and that she can be fair and impartial once the judge has read her the law and she's listened to the testimony.
Okay, Judge Venny, weigh in.
Well, there's no allegation here of any sort of pattern of behavior, so I'm going to allow this peremptory strike. So the strike stands.
Okay, another one stands. Put on that button, Carly. All right. The defense, Carrie Hackett. What led you to your next strike?
Ryan, I had another concern with this prospective juror in that he stated that he has already formed an opinion. He said that where there's smoke, there's fire. He also said that he knows many people that have been victims of assaults and that racial profiling sets back the honest efforts of police.
Okay, I can't read it from their faces who this is. Who did you decide to strike?
This is juror number 12.
Juror number 12? I think he saw it coming, but he's got a poker face, so I couldn't tell.
That's true. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Clearly, there was a gunshot. Clearly, there was a struggle. Clearly, this gentleman was told to stay in his vehicle. There's a problem. There's someone who doesn't like to follow directions. So, yeah, there's something there. Do I know what? I don't know, but there is something there.
Okay, do you know what you don't know? I don't hear any objections, so I'm going to put it over to Vinny. We have our jury. Vinny?
Okay, we've got our jury, and we're back here at the HLNTV.com evidence room to take a look at our next bold question, which is, did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? Well, this is the allegation of the defense. This is what George Zimmerman's been saying from the beginning, including during his first interview with police.
I was walking back through to where my car was, and he jumped out from the bushes, and he said, "What the is your problem, homie?" And I got my cell phone out to call 911 this time. And I said, "Hey, man, I don't have a problem." And he goes, "No, now you have a problem." And he punched me in the nose.
All right, so the allegation here from George Zimmerman is that Trayvon Martin is in the bushes, jumps out and attacks him. I went back to the neighborhood, to the exact area where all this took place, and I went there at nighttime to get an idea of what it was like at night, what the lighting was like and everything else. And as you can see here from the video that we shot that night, there are no real street lights in that area where that was happening. So I guess the allegation that the defense will make is that it was dark, that it is possible that Trayvon Martin could have been hiding in the bushes and jumped out. And from what I saw, there were some dark areas there, as you can clearly see from this video. Now, another part of what the defense is doing is taking a look at Trayvon Martin and trying to portray him in a certain way. One way they wanted to do that was through some text messages of Trayvon Martin's. Incoming message, "What do you do now?" Trayvon, "The police caught me out of school." Laugh out loud. "Really, dude?" "Yeah, so you just turned into a little hoodlum?" "No, not at all." And then, "Yes, you a hoodlum?" "No, I'm a gangster." So the question is, does that make Trayvon look like someone who's more likely to attack someone? Also, of course, George Zimmerman's going to rely upon the injuries that he suffered that night. These are police photos of the back of George Zimmerman's head. We can also see the nose, and he did have a broken nose that night. So that's some of what the defense is going to rely upon to try to demonstrate that George Zimmerman was acting in self-defense, and it was Trayvon Martin who attacked George Zimmerman. That's our bold question. We're going to hear from our jury when we come back.
Who attacked who in this case? Who was the aggressor? That's critical. Why? It's a self-defense case. There are two issues of significant importance here. Number one, was the threat posed proportionate to the force used? Number two, was George Zimmerman in imminent fear of his life? The answers to those questions lie in the distinction between getting off and going to jail.
Jury selection, most important process in the criminal justice system. When you're asked to come into that courtroom, we tell you as jurors, leave your prejudice and your bias outside the courtroom door. But when you're coming in to be chosen as a juror, we as the lawyers need to know if you have formed opinions, if you're prejudiced, if you're biased, because if you are and you don't tell us, then your verdict will be a miscarriage of justice.
Are you following him? Yeah. Okay, we don't need you to do that.
So you think he's yelling help? Yes.
Some decent lacerations and abrasions on the back of his head. So was he in fear of his life?
And I had my firearm on my right side hip. He saw it. I feel like he saw it. He looked at it.
If this is an inside the pants holster, then how would Trayvon Martin be able to see it?
It's not totally inside the pants, okay?
So some part of it's going to be exposed.
You're going to see this part with the magazine inserted into the bottom of the weapon. Was George Zimmerman getting his head pounded against the sidewalk by Trayvon Martin? Was Trayvon coming after him? Was he the aggressor? Was George Zimmerman the aggressor?
Tonight's bold question, did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? Let me go to Philip Snyder, great criminal defense attorney down there in Florida. Philip, is there a plausible argument to be made by the defense that Trayvon Martin is waiting in the bushes, jumps out, and attacks George Zimmerman?
Absolutely. The guy has a broken nose. He has lacerations on the back of the head. Unless he was Jim Carrey in Liar Liar and he was grabbing his head on the concrete, of course he was attacked by Trayvon Martin.
All right. John Phillips, what do you think?
My dad always said, from Monroeville, Alabama, the home of the original race-baited trial, by the way, in To Kill a Mockingbird, my dad always said, if you don't start no mess, there won't be one. And Zimmerman started this mess. And I don't think any defense is self-defense is an attack.
All right. Stacey Honowitz, let me ask you, do you think Trayvon Martin, there's evidence that Trayvon Martin is the one who attacked George Zimmerman?
Well, certainly the state, in bringing these charges, did not feel that there was an aggressive part by Trayvon Martin. Obviously, they feel that George Zimmerman started it, just like the gentleman just said, started this, followed him, got out of the car, didn't follow directions, and so he, of course, is the aggressor. So certainly the defense is going to do everything they can to try to show that Trayvon Martin was the aggressor, but the state will counter.
Joey Jackson, what do you think? Because this is really the cornerstone of the defense, is that Trayvon Martin allegedly attacked George Zimmerman.
Oh, 100%, Vinny. But here's what's going to happen. What the prosecution is going to do is they're going to start this incident from the very beginning where George Zimmerman was told, we don't need you to do that, sir. And that's where they'll blow it up. And that's where it gets to John Phillips' comments about you don't start a mess, you won't get into one. And then, however, the defense will limit the instance to the exact issue when there was the altercation and he was shot and killed. And so it's what form of that you buy will depend upon whether he's declared not guilty or guilty in this case.
All right, Ryan, ladies and gentlemen, the jury. Now, before the jury votes on our bold question tonight, did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? It's time to reveal what's in my mystery box tonight. And please take a look, ladies and gentlemen. And what do we have here? I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this down here? This is a cell phone, the same type of cell phone Trayvon Martin had with him the day he was shot and killed, and also the phone records from the phone he was on at the time of the confrontation with George Zimmerman. When it began, he was on the phone with a girl known as witness number 8, and her statement to police corroborates the fact that Trayvon Martin was on the phone before and after the time of confrontation. Take a listen.
Trayvon tells you that the guy's getting closer to him. And then you hear Trayvon saying something.
Yeah.
Right? And what do you hear Trayvon saying?
Why you following me for?
Why are you following me for?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I hear this man, like old man.
Okay.
Say, what are you doing around here?
All right, so the question is, if Trayvon Martin was lying in wait to attack George Zimmerman, would he have remained on the phone speaking to witness number 8? Ryan?
All right, Vinny, you mentioned before our jury votes. What we've done tonight, our jury are the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury right in front. Our rejected jurors are in the back. So I hate to do this to you. Just for now, you're not going to vote on this. Just our folks in the front. We'll get to you later. Don't worry, I promise. All right, here's the question. Did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? Yes or no from our jury? A lot of no's and one yes. Okay, I want to talk to our one yes. Why do you say yes?
Well, I think he definitely attacked him. We saw the bruises on the back of his head. He had a broken nose. So he was attacked, but I think that was a natural reaction of anybody that's being followed.
Oh, so you think George Zimmerman instigated, but Trayvon Martin did attack?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, and what do you think?
Honestly, Zimmerman definitely started it, but I don't believe Trayvon Martin did anything really. Yeah, Zimmerman got cuts and got a broken nose, but anybody that get in an altercation can end up with anything. And a lot of times, the innocent person always end up messed up.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he ended up dead. Just like a drunk driver, it seems like the person that's driving never get hurt, but the person that's involved in it always dies. That's how I kind of look at it.
All right, we got a lot more to come. More after dark.
The defense in this case will certainly highlight the nature of the injuries. They'll talk about the nose. They'll talk about the bruises to the back of the head. They'll talk about it all. The prosecution, however, will counter and say, did this need to happen? Was the force used exceeding what was necessary? That's where this case will lie, and ultimately the jury, race or not, will make the factor decision that is fair to all concerned.
All right, how about this for a question? Would you serve on a high-profile jury? We asked you out there on HLNTV.com. 53% say yes, 47% say no. So it's almost a near tie on that one.
I would love to do it myself, personally. I would love to be on a jury.
You would never get on a jury.
But they never pick me. I don't know why.
Neither will I. All right. So every night we like to do something. We answer your questions in 15 seconds. So let's get going. Our experts will answer them. Twitter. Michelle says, has anyone considered that Trayvon Martin was protecting himself when he saw Zimmerman following him?
Mo Ivory, 15 seconds.
Vinny, absolutely. To characterize Trayvon as lying in wait is absolutely a mischaracterization. He was hiding like anybody would if somebody were following them and they were watching them follow them after they were out just to get something to drink.
All right.
Well done.
All right, another one from Twitter. Here we go. Did Zimmerman have any defensive wounds that will be used as evidence to show he tried any defense before using his gun, or does it matter? That's from Terry.
Okay, why don't you answer that one, Ryan?
Oh, I got this. Okay.
15 seconds.
So he has the injury on his nose, also on the back of his head, nothing on his hands. And I think it does matter because if you're in a fight for your life, what are you doing? You're using your hands. Also, he didn't identify himself as neighborhood watch, identify himself as what he was doing. I think those are problems for his case.
All right, you did it in 15 seconds.
All right, I learned, right? All right, Facebook, let's go. Mick says, was Zimmerman hired by the HOA, and does the HOA have rules for the neighborhood watch following when to approach?
Okay, I'll take this one, actually. The HOA, they did have a meeting, and George Zimmerman ended up sort of volunteering to be in charge of the neighborhood watch. But they, the HOA, didn't have any rules, but the training did say you weren't supposed to have a gun.
Okay, let's look for the next one on Facebook. Can you explain the legal definition of self-defense? Can we really ever know if no one else was there? Great question by
That's
Drew.
a great question. 15 seconds. Philip Snyder, why don't you do this one?
Well, you have to look at the evidence. The evidence in this case shows that George Zimmerman had a broken nose and lacerations on the back of his head. If there's ever a case of self-defense, this is the case.
All right, under 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was more like 10 seconds.
Well done.
Let's see, HLNTV.com. Roland says, do you think Zimmerman was influenced by the stand your ground law? Maybe he knew he could use force.
Stand your ground. That's huge down in Florida. Let's go to Florida prosecutor Stacey Honowitz. 15 seconds.
Yeah, there's been a huge debate about this new law, stand your ground, basically because you have the person who says, I was in fear of my life versus a dead person who can't say anything. So did he know about the law? We'll never know. He might have known that he could use it in self-defense and get immunity, but they didn't even go for the hearing.
Wow. That was 16 seconds, but still a great answer.
We give it to her. All right, HLNTV.com. Here's Jim. He says, will the jury have options besides second-degree murder? Could they give him manslaughter with a sentence?
All right, Joey Jackson, 15 seconds.
Absolutely. What happens is that these are called lesser included offenses, and so therefore if the evidence points to something other than second-degree murder, which is depravity, such as a reckless or a careless or a negligent killing, then of course it could be criminally negligent homicide or the equivalent in Florida.
All right. You know what's interesting, Ryan? You know, lawyers get paid for their time. Could you imagine if you went to your lawyer and he gave you your answer in 15 seconds? He could only charge like $1.50.
Oh, that would be great, and we'd have 3 lawyers across the country.
Exactly. All right.
All right. Hey, you know all those rejected jurors from earlier? They didn't have a chance to vote on your bold question. Their chance is coming up, and we'll see if the prosecution and the defense made the right choice.
These questions that people are asking are fabulous. And there's one important thing that you have to remember, especially in a high-profile case. When you hear all these outside influences, you have to turn off your ears. When you're sitting in that courtroom, you have to listen to the evidence that's presented to you. Not what the lawyers say, but what comes from the stand, from testimony, forensics, photographs. That's what the jury needs to focus on. They cannot be influenced by anything other than what's in front of them in the courtroom.
Our jury are the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury right in front. Our rejected jurors are in the back. So I hate to do this to you. Just for now, you're not going to vote on this. Just our folks in the front. I'll get to you later. Don't worry, I promise. All right, here's the question. Did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? Yes or no from our jury? A lot of no's and 1 yes. Okay, that was then. This is now. Jury, you're not going to vote on this one. What we're going to do is we're going to have our rejected jurors over here do the vote. On this side, you got the jurors that were rejected by the defense. On this side, on my right side here, the jurors who were rejected by the prosecution. Let's see how you vote on this question. See if these lawyers were right. Did Trayvon Martin attack George Zimmerman? Yes or no? Okay, all no's and all yeses. Imagine that.
Got it right.
Huh?
The lawyers got it right.
For once, the lawyers got it right.
I don't understand. How can you attack someone who's coming after you with a gun? How can I attack you? You have a gun in your hand. That's the essence of attacking me. It's simple.
So it's the gun. He brought a gun to a fight. Any way you look at it for you, correct, he was attacked.
Hey, Ryan, can you ask the jury if they think race impacted their vote at all? Because I see red and no over here, and those are black jurors. I see yes and white, and those are white jurors.
It's a good point.
We have one. Did you just
We have one switch. Yes, Carly over here. No, she was answering your question.
She was answering my question.
Yes. Don't pick on Carly. Come here. All right. You say no. No, race didn't impact your decision.
No.
Okay.
I looked at the facts of what I know, which we don't know much right now. But I think that Trayvon was provoked. I do think that he attacked Zimmerman. I mean, he has the evidence shown on his body. Zimmerman should have fought back before just, shooting him. But I do think that Trayvon attacked him. He was provoked. He was scared. He was nervous. I mean,
once provoked, he attacked, is your thought.
Yes.
Is that your thought as well?
I agree, yes.
Okay. Okay, now I want to come over to you because...
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He is ready.
Okay, let's talk about the facts. Everybody's talking about the facts. First of all, he was profiled. That's the facts. Because he wasn't doing anything and he was followed. All right, that's first things first. Second of all, he was on the phone with the police. The operator said, do not follow him. It would have been ended right there. But he did not listen to the instructions given. So that's the facts. And then you can talk about the phone call when he was on the phone with the girl, and Trayvon Martin said, I think somebody's following.
The amazing thing, though, Ryan, again, looking at this jury, black on this side, white on this side in the second row. We know who got rid of who, and we see how they voted here. I just want to go to Philip Snyder. Philip, we only have a few seconds here. But is jury selection here going to be a black and white issue?
It's going to be a black and white issue, and it's very unfortunate, but that's the reality. People's minds are made up already, and unfortunately the black individuals who are in the jury have made up their minds, and the white individuals who are in the jury have made up their minds. It's quite sad, but it's the truth.
All right, and finally here, if in fact, let's say the defense knocks out 3 black jurors in a row, and the prosecution knocks out 3 white jurors in a row, will they get away with it?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
I don't think so. I mean, this judge has run a pretty decent ship, almost protecting the prosecution, and I just feel like she's going to run a little tighter ship because the world is watching.
All right, the world's watching. We're out of time, but we're going to do it again.